And welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Wednesday, May 29th. I am the host for today's program, Paul Demain, and many of the stories right here can also be found in our publication, News from Indian Country, or online at IndianCountryNews.com. And here are some of the news stories for the day. A uranium mining company seeking a mineral lease on state land in Arizona could have a hard time transporting the ore off-site because of the Navajo Nation's objection to an industry that left a legacy of death and disease amongst its tribal members. The section of land in Coconino County is surrounded by the Navajo Nation's Big Boquillos Ranch. The tribe said it would not grant Wate Mining Company LLC permission to drive commercial trucks filled with chunks of uranium ore across its land to be processed at a milling site in Blanding, Utah. The Navajo Nation was the site of extensive uranium mining for weapons during the Cold War. Although most of the physical hazards, including open mine shafts, have been fixed at hundreds of sites, concerns of radiation hazards remain. The tribe banned uranium mining on its land in the year 2005, and last year passed a law governing the transport of radioactive substances over its land. The ranch itself is not part of the reservation, although the Navajo Nation owns it. The chairman of the Sault Ste. Marie tribe of Chippewa Indians has been appointed to a federal panel that deals with American Indian health issues. Aaron Payment was chosen for one of 5 national at-large representative seats on the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Tribal Advisory Committee. He was appointed by Department Secretary Kathleen Sebulus. Payment says the panel advances a government-to-government relationship between the department and tribal governments. The Health and Human Services Department administers the Indian Health Service and Tribal Head Start programs. The remains of 2 Shoshone teenagers have been laid to rest in northern Utah nearly 150 years after they were believed to have been killed in the Bear River Massacre in Idaho. They were among 4 sets of Shoshone remains buried last weekend at the Washakie Cemetery in Box Elder County during a traditional ceremony conducted by tribal members. 2 sets of the remains had recently been in possession of the Smithsonian Institution. Another had been property of the federal government, and the other was found years ago in Weber County, according to the Desert News reports. The remains of the Shoshone teens were found near the January 1863 battle site around today's Preston, Idaho. Over 300 Shoshone were killed by the U.S. Army's 3rd California Volunteers in a single greatest loss of Indian lives in American history. And today we go to an interview conducted by Nick Vanderpie with Melvin Buckholtz of Lac du Flambeau, Wisconsin, as he prepares to go out fishing on Mille Lacs Lake in Minnesota during late May. He says, use your treaty rights or lose them.
Melvin Buckholtz. We're at Mille Lacs. We were at North Garrison Landing last night. We were looking around for places to put in nets and to spear. And you're sharpening your tines right now on your jabbing tool. You've been doing this with your Uncle Bobby Williams now since how long? How long have you been doing this?
Probably about 20 years, going on 20 years now. Been spearing and netting together for 20 years, since I was 10 years old.
So you grew up in the tradition?
Yeah. Every spring.
And you were passing some of that tradition last night with Joseph. What was going on with Joseph?
We took Joseph out and showed him how to set nets last night, and took him out and showed him how to spear. It was his first time in a boat. He's only 9 years old, so we figured it was time to show him how to do it.
And when you came in, you had several tubs of fish. They were nice-sized walleyes. You had ice on the deck. And it was way into the wee hours. I think it was about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Is that what spearing is about? A lot of work?
Hard work from the time you get ready to go till the time you go to bed. A lot of late hours. Not much sleep for the whole spring. Usually lasts about 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks of that.
And the fish. We heard that a couple bags of fish are going to go to your grandma who lives in this community. Right?
Yeah, a close friend of the family. Actually, Joseph's grandma lives over here, and we're gonna bring some fish to her for getting us hotel rooms and making us dinner tonight. Mille Lacs people are usually pretty welcoming and help us out whenever we come over this way.
About an hour ago, we had like the whole family moving fish around. We had a couple of electric knives. There was a generator going. Your wife Jeannie was taking some cheeks and she was cutting some of the rib bones out. And now we're gonna go down and we're gonna grab some of that ice down by the lake, huh?
Yeah, we'll head over towards South Garrison. A lot of the ice pushes up on the south side of Garrison. We'll go over there and we'll get a bunch of ice to throw on the fish. Just take it right from the lake. Keep the fish cool until we can package it.
You do a lot of hunting and gathering, and you told me a while ago that if you weren't doing that hunting and gathering, you probably couldn't be Indian anymore. Tell us more about that.
Well, there's more to being Indian than having a tribal ID. You gotta live it every day. If you're, just because you can go to powwows or because you got a tribal ID doesn't make you Ojibwe. Kind of, it's a way of life. It's not something you're born into, not something you can just glide into and hope to fit in.
You know, when you guys went out on the water, you made an offering, you put some tobacco down. Lake kind of calmed down. We've been looking all day for a place to get on the water. When you first got out there at night, how did you feel?
Oh, it was nice. It was a good night. Lake was really calm. We see a lot of walleye all over. Winds died down. Mille Lacs is usually a tough lake to spear on unless the wind's calm. You can be out there all night long till sunup if the wind's not died down at all. So it turned out to be a really good night.
You came in, you had more energy than when you went out, and you had a lot of energy when you went out. So what happens to you when you're doing what the Creator intends? What happens?
Yeah, it's kind of a rush to be on the lake. It's kind of something people from Flambeau look forward to every spring. It's a big thing back home for us to get our stuff ready for spring spearing. 100 guys going out every night to get their fish. Ends up being a tradition in Flambeau for everybody to do this once the ice comes off the lakes.
Of course, we both grew up in the treaty protests in the 80s and 90s. We remember what happened, the screaming at the landings, timber nigger, welfare warrior. Hate crimes were being practiced every minute of the spring spearing season for more than a decade. And now the conventional media says, oh, there's peace in the North Woods. What happened last night when you were out on the water?
That's some bullshit. We had some guys out there hollering at us, telling us that we were cheaters, that we need to fish like real men. We went out spearing a few nights ago back home, and we had them throwing rocks at us and trying to cast into our boat and yelling stuff at us. Just kind of laugh it off, call them fucking crybabies and tell them to get over it and keep moving. It hasn't died down at all.
And your woman Jeannie, she was in a store yesterday in Malmo, Minnesota.
Yeah, they had the store in Malmo. The other side of the lake, they're pretty racist. They don't like Indians on the other side of the lake. So they had stuff in there about protecting the lake and stopping netting, and they're trying to find someone to blame besides the sports anglers in the state when it comes to the declining walleye population in these lakes. It's easier to blame the Indians because there's more of them than there are of us.
So when you pass on this tradition, what do you want your kids to know?
Don't ever quit. No matter how hard it gets, no matter how much people bother you while you're on the lake, it's kind of, if you stop doing it, they win. It's something we have to keep doing no matter what.
You know, the Northwoods faces a lot of challenges, and most of them come from industrial development. Overbuilding on the shorelines, big engines. We saw a lot of big Star Wars boats out here yesterday that were ridiculous in their size and how much energy they use. We're also facing an attack upon the water near Bad River. How do you think treaty rights can be used to protect the land and the water?
Well, I think if it comes down to it and things start going through, we use our treaty rights to take every fish and deer from the area and stock up, because it's probably going to be the last time we get to go.
You seem really happy being over here with your family. You're kind of really doing what you're made to do. How is that for you? How do you feel when you're out gathering like this?
Well, it gives you a good feeling knowing that your family's going to have the food it needs to get through till next year when we come back out. You know, we like to try to fill our freezers during the springtime. It's a lot of hard work, but you know, we have a lot of fun too while we're doing it. You know, sit around and talk awful and talk bad about whoever, the sports anglers and the rednecks that want to bother us. You know, we usually have a pretty good time. Besides the work, it ends up being a decent time.
And you have this relationship with Bobby that goes back, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's my uncle. We're really close. Do a lot of things together: hunt, fish, spear. We worked at the school together, teaching tribal kids how to spear through the ice, spear muskies through the ice. So he's been the one to give my kids all their Indian names. Does ceremonies for us when we need to. Taught me a lot of what I know today. Jada, go give this to your uncle. Tell him give that to your uncle. Tell him it's ready. No, careful, don't touch him. Hold it like that. Tell him it's ready to go.
Well, before we went out on the water yesterday, we sampled, we more than sampled, we had a feast of walleye and spuds. And you know what, Melvin? Them speared fish, they taste better than fish that are caught on hook and line.
Yeah, if they got the spear holes in them, they taste a lot better than the ones that you catch with a pole. We use our fly rods rather than our fishing poles. Makes it a little bit easier and makes them taste better.
Anything you want to add, Melvin?
You guys got to get out there and start using your treaty rights. If you don't use them, you're going to lose them. It's important for our people to keep doing what they've done for years and years. Get out there and practice them. If you don't know how, find somebody that does and learn. There's plenty of people out there that still do. You know, we have 100 guys that spear in Flambeau every year. Roughly half of them come over here. It's a big thing for our guys to come over this way and spear and net. Fish is a big thing in Flambeau. It's kind of lost on some of the other reservations. They have a few, but not as many as we do. Fish is an important part of our diet, and you know, my daughter is talking about how fish sticks taste gross. She'd rather have walleye, so this is what we spend our springs doing. All our energy, time, money goes into spearing every spring. So you guys need to start practicing it.
This is Nick Vanderpye, Melvin Buckholtz and family at Mille Lacs Lake.
And that is another roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to say miigwech for joining with us, and come back again soon.